Greg Bedard, Boston Sports Journal. Mac has the ability to play quarterback in this league. What did that answer tell you?
It was just more of Bill sort of passing the buck as though, he didn't take much of the blame or any of the blame. There was a lot of lip service about accountability and starts with me and this and that. And it was a bunch of bull crap. It was basically Bill Belichick had a press conference where he told everybody, even though all of this was his own doing because he has ultimate say in everything, none of it was his fault.
But why not more support for Mac Jones there? Why not simply say, yeah, he's our guy?
I mean, because this is just the way he does things. And especially, right now. I mean, the real answer should have been.
I mean, he didn't say that before the year. Before the year,
right. And I'm going to say, before the season, he was glowing about Mac Jones and about how much improvement he had made and all this stuff. And now he's tepid. I wonder what's changed in the interim. I mean, it's obvious Bill Belichick should have gone on there and said, look, we didn't put a bunch of guys in a good position on offense. That's my fault. We're going to get it corrected. And I don't think that Mac should be judged on a lot of things that went on this season, along with a lot of guys on the offense, because everybody underperformed. It wasn't just Mac. Everybody across the board on offense underperformed. From talking to players around the team over the past week, there's a lot of players that, first of all, they're not very happy with how Mac Jones was treated this year. And this is further Bill not being accountable to the rest of the team. The rest of the team knows what the problem was. And if Bill's not going to come out and say what it was and put it on Mac Jones, who all the players know he was put in a crappy position by the head coach. And hopefully Bill is doing it in private. If he's not, he's going to lose more players. He lost players on offense. They were disillusioned this year on offense. That's a fact. And people were mad about how things went down, how Mac was treated this year, the whole Bailey Zappi stuff. And, players want accountability. And Bill, again, didn't do it. Hopefully he's doing it in private, or else he's going to have further issues going down the line.
Well, Mac Jones was also asked to assess his season. Here's his response. It's presented by your local Hyundai dealers. It's your journey. Own every mile in a brand new Hyundai.
Like I said, the guys in the room, we fought through a lot this year, a lot of up and downs, and learned a lot about each other, learned a lot about football, and just not good enough today. Starts with me as the quarterback, and definitely left everything out there for the Patriot on our jersey and the names on our back, so that's all you can really do.
He talked a lot about the players in the locker room. Again, name on the front, name on the back. Nowhere in there was it the coaches. He never mentioned the coaches, Greg. Is that telling to you?
Oh, of course. I mean, he looked miserable. He looked like a hostage at the end of a standoff, like he couldn't wait to go home and be done with this.
Right.
And all of his comments were about how much we learned. I never thought that I'd learn more than I did this season. And he was a rookie the year before and learned a lot. He learned even more in year two. Why? Because it was a complete disaster. What went on offense, and what he had to go through, and what Bill Belichick put him through. And so, absolutely, I thought Mac Jones's press conference was one of his best in sort of Mac speak, where he got out a message, then said some nice things, then got his message out. The message was the players were put in a terrible position. We know it. We all know it. And things better change.
All right. And so, guys, we know things have to change from the coordinator position, right? You have to move on. I didn't know what it was going to be with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. We've seen it. The results are in. It's not good enough. You got to move on. So that's fair. But when it comes to accountability, do you guys think that they got to change the way they do business? They got to come into like the 2020s. And that I understand, and you guys understand why Bill Belichick, didn't name Patricia as the offensive coordinator, and why he says it's collaborative, because it's a money-saving thing. But in the locker room, it doesn't play well. If I want to complain about 2 kickoff returns, I know who the special teams coach is. Mm-hmm. If I want to complain about the wide receivers, I know Troy Brown has wide receivers.
You know who the quarterback is.
You've
he can
got
get thrown
to have
under the bus by the head coach.
I'm sorry, and from the top down, I think Robert Kraft should be on board with this, Bill Belichick, and the new coordinator should say, damn it, name me a coordinator. I will be accountable. I'm the offensive coordinator. I call plays. And if you don't continue to do that, you'll lose more people in the locker room.
But back to Mac Jones. How much of this was on him? How much responsibility should he take, Greg? And do you think people have lowered their ceiling, or should we lower the ceiling on Mac Jones because of what we saw this year?
I don't think so. I'm giving him a complete pass on this year. I mean, he basically had another rookie season.
Complete pass?
Just about.
He didn't bear any
Look, here's an example of what I heard from one player this week. They said that if the Patriots kept their same blocking system as the year before, they would have had half the number of sacks that they had this year. So how are you supposed to play quarterback like that? How are you supposed to run the ball? Of course, they couldn't do either really well. So does that surprise you? I mean, when you hear things like this, and, you know, I was talking to players, and, you know, I'm just, hey, were you put in position to succeed? And they're all like, Greg, I hear what you say. I hear what you write. You're talking about the right things. Like, go ask former quarterbacks around the league who are watching the offense. They're saying it was a disaster this year, and you don't have to be an expert to know that. And I don't know how people can look at Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones a year ago were talked about as busts. Now all of a sudden they're good quarterbacks.
Okay.
What's the difference?
Okay, coaching, but also people will say, to knock on Mac Jones, that Trevor Lawrence didn't lose his crap last year. He never threw his coaches under. He didn't carry on like Mac Jones.
And he had Urban Meyer.
That's just the way he is.
I mean, well,
you know, look, but there was also the whole Mac Jones.
Wouldn't you rather have Mac Jones be that guy, patient, more above it?
Absolutely.
And he did it. He did it like the last, 4 or 5 games.
Lawrence doesn't say anything. That was part of his evaluation coming out. You wondered how strong of a leader he was going to be in the NFL. It was a question among some NFL scouts. Mac Jones is different. It doesn't mean it's bad. It wasn't good this year. But the guys in the locker room, you know, they know Mac was giving voice to what they were feeling, and they were fine with it. All the guys in the locker room are fine with Mac Jones. And that's why if Bill continues to throw him under the bus and not take responsibility for what he did, he risks losing this team even more.
I put 65, 70, 75% on the coaches.
Yeah,
I'll give you
that's
that.
fair.
But
that's
at some point, you got to go out there, even in a bad situation, you got to go out there. You got to be able to make throws. You got to be able to keep your composure, be poised, lead the offense. And there are times that he didn't. And he made some reads that were not great. He made some throws that were not great over the course of the season. Some things that, even with a terrible offensive approach, he should have known better.